My family called me the human spreadsheet, Alara, the boring one, while my siblings, Chloe, the fashion influencer, and Felix, the tech visionary, lived in bursts of color and debt. I was the quiet pulse keeping the lights on. I managed the books for our family's chain of upscale bistros, Belle Nourriture. It was a Tuesday. I was reconciling the corporate credit card statements, a card used by all three of us. Felix had a $5,000 charge for server hardware. Chloe had $8,000 for a brand immersion retreat, and then there was a charge from my mother, $3.27 at a gas station convenience store called Quick Stop. A salad, maybe? A coffee? But my mother didn't drink coffee, and she never went to gas stations. She had everything delivered. A flicker of curiosity, that tiny, persistent flame in my chest of numbers, ignited. I pulled up the statement from the previous month. Another charge, $4.15 at the same Quick Stop, and the month before, $2.89. Every month. A small, inconsequential charge, buried among the thousands for truffles and tasting menus. To anyone else, it was noise. To me, it was a decimal point out of place in the universe. I drove to the Quick Stop. It was 10 miles from my parents' mansion in a part of town we never had reason to visit. I showed the cashier a photo of my mother on my phone, a woman who looked like she was made of champagne and disapproval. "Oh, sure," the cashier said, nodding. "Comes in every month, buys a lottery ticket. Same one every time. Lucky sevens, she calls it." A lottery ticket. My mother, who called gambling a tax on the stupid, was buying a lottery ticket in secret. The curiosity turned into a hum. Why? Why here? Why hide it? I didn't ask her. That would have ended it. Instead, I started looking. As the family accountant, I had access to everything. I began tracing threads no one thought to hide because they were invisible to them. The lottery ticket was the first thread. The second was a $500 monthly auto debit from my parents' joint account to a P.O. Box leasing company. The P.O. Box was in the same zip code as the Quick Stop. The third thread was the most frayed, a 25-year-old life insurance policy for my father with a beneficiary that wasn't my mother or us. It was a trust with a lawyer's name I didn't recognize. Curiosity wasn't a hobby now. It was a forensic investigation. I hired a discreet PI. I gave him the P.O. Box number and the lawyer's name. Find the connection. A week later, he did. The P.O. Box received mail for a Mirabelle Associates. The lawyer was the trustee for a special needs trust for a woman named Mirabelle, aged 24. My father had a $2 million life insurance policy paying into a trust for a 24-year-old woman. The PI's next email had an attachment, a photo from a Disability Support Center's newsletter. A young woman with Down syndrome, beaming, holding a painting. The caption, "Mirabelle's artwork brightens our day." She had my father's smile, my exact gray eyes. The world didn't shatter, it reconfigured with a terrible silent click. The $3 lottery ticket wasn't a gamble, it was a ritual, a hope. Maybe this time the jackpot would be enough to take care of the daughter she'd hidden, the sister we never knew. I confronted my father in his study, the room that smelled of leather and lies. I didn't yell. I placed 3 documents on his desk: the credit card statement, the trust document, and Mirabelle's photo. His face didn't show shock. It showed a profound, weary collapse. Ilara. Who is she? My daughter. The words were a ghost leaving his body. Her mother was a waitress at the first bistro. It was a mistake. A beautiful, complicated mistake. Mirabelle was born. Her mother didn't want the scrutiny, the scandal. We set up the trust. Your mother found out. She agreed to keep the secret, for the family's image, but she hates it. The lottery ticket is her little rebellion, a hope to win enough to make the problem go away forever. My mother's coldness, her distance, it wasn't just her personality. It was a prison of resentment she'd lived in for 24 years. And us? My voice was flat, the spreadsheet analyzing human damage. We were going to tell you, when it was safer, when the business was more stable, when it was convenient, I finished for him. You hid a human being, for image, for convenience. I walked out. I went to the address of the support center. I saw her, Mirabelle. She was painting, her tongue between her teeth in concentration. She looked up, saw me, and smiled. A pure, uncomplicated smile. "Hello, are you new?" The curiosity that started with a $3 charge had led me here, to this, to her. I called a family meeting, not at the mansion, at my sterile, quiet apartment. I laid it all out for Chloe and Felix. Their reactions were a study in self-absorption. Chloe worried about the PR, Felix about the trust's drain on capital. Then I showed Mirabelle's picture. This is our sister. Her trust is funded by a life insurance policy, but she deserves more. She deserves a family, not a secret. I had already drafted the new balance sheet. Here are the options. 1. We continue the lie. I resign, and you explain to the new accountant the monthly $3 charge and the secret trust. 2. We bring her into the light. We restructure. We use the Bell Nourriture brand to start a supported employment program. She becomes a part of this family publicly. And you, I looked at my parents, you finally live with the truth you built. They chose option 2, not out of love, but out of fear. Fear of me exposing it all. It was a start. Now the boring accountant doesn't just manage the books, I manage the truth. Mirabelle works in the flagship bistro's art department, designing menus. Her smile is on the website. My mother no longer buys lottery tickets. She sits with Mirabelle on Sundays, teaching her to bake, the silence between them slowly filling with something that isn't love, but isn't hate either. The curiosity that uncovered a secret didn't break my family. It forced it to finally add up correctly. The hidden line item was now on the ledger, and for the first time, the books were balanced.